Hey, it's me, Max the Axe. Where's Pablo? I'm kind of a big deal. Guns to Iran. Hey, it's me, Max the Axe. Happy Halloween. Where's Pablo? I'm kind of a big deal. I'm a big rock star. Here's my albums. You want some of my albums? I'm Max the Axe. I'm going to play for you one of my brand new songs. This one's called Oktoberfest Cheer. Roll out the barrel, join in the fun. One thing's for sure. Sausage and sauerkraut, and do the band. Shares and shots with pepper and schnapps. Montana jumps. And we say Oktoberfest here. Oktoberfest here. So blaze up that beer. I got hair in my mouth. October's here. October. So don't feel the fear. Drinking and dancing. October's here. Roll out the barrel and join in the fun. Hey, Uncle Hans. Get your nose. Oktoberfest here. Oktober's here. So raise up that beer. Don't crush my smokes. Don't spill my beer. Thank you. I'm Max the Axe. Welcome to the Little Brain Train Halloween show. I'm Max the Axe. I'm kind of a big deal. That's my new song. It's called Oktoberfest Cheer. Unfortunately, I can't see without my glasses on. Oh, there you are. We have comments. We have lots and lots of comments. Panama Slash. No, I'm Max the Axe. I'm Max the Axe. Hi, Mom. Hey, my goodness. It's the real Max the Axe. Hey, Kelly, rock on. You're losing your wig. No, the hair was getting in my mouth. He was losing it, period. Where's meat? I don't know where meat is. Don't crush my smokes. Don't spill my beer. I'm Max the Axe. Happy Halloween, folks. It's the Max the Axe Halloween special. I'm Max the Axe. I'm kind of a big deal. Here's all my albums. Oh, Halloween is now officially scary. I worked up a sweat rocking out to Oktoberfest Cheer, so I have to open the window here. Don't fireworks. Oh, that's new. Halloween fire. Why not? Why not Halloween fireworks? Why not? Right? So that was the new Max the Axe tune, Oktoberfest Cheer, which I've been rocking out to nonstop for the last several days, ever since Mr. Mike Kudis dropped it off at my house. I hope you could hear it okay. Maybe just drop me some feedback. Were you guys able to hear that song? I hope. I mean, I'm rocking out to it pretty hard, and it would suck if you guys couldn't hear it. Welcome to the Halloween show. I am your host, Max the Axe. On the LeBrain train, 2,000 words or more. We're with Mike Ladano. Yeah, it kind of does. I kind of figured it would look like Slash, so that's, it's the best wig I could find at, Max had this much hair at one point. I'm pretty sure Max had this much hair at one point. I'm kind of a big deal. That's me. I'm on a record. I'm kind of a big deal. What's in the cup? Asks Max the Axe. It is just coffee. It is called Stormio, is the name of this particular brew. It is called Stormio. I have to keep this on my head for the whole show because it's a Halloween show. I could hear most of the song, says Kevin. Well, I suppose that's better than nothing. I would wish I could have found a better way to play it for you. But that was Oktoberfest Cheer off the forthcoming Max the Axe Punk EP, a copy of which is in my dirty little hands here, but no title yet, no artwork. We don't know, even though I am Max the Axe tonight, I don't know the title of the forthcoming EP. And I don't know what the artwork's going to look like. But if I was going to title this EP, I would title it the Oktoberfest Cheer EP. Too much caffeine? No. Just getting started. Just getting started with the caffeine. Just putting on a show for you, Mom. Just putting on a show for you, just like Max the Axe would do if this was a live concert situation. It's not fun getting wig hair in your mouth any more than it is getting regular hair in your mouth. For my cold beverage, a Diet Pepsi, because I did not have the foresight to put a ginger ale in the fridge. So welcome to the show. I'm expecting some guests tonight. I do not have information on what time I can expect these guests, but I have at least 2 guests lined up for short visits. Otherwise, I thought I would just talk about Halloween memories. And my mom will certainly remember some of my oldest costumes that I had when I was a young fella. I'm sure that, she made several of our costumes. But I think it was my dad who kind of helped me out with what I think was my first costume when I was a kid. I'm pretty sure my first Halloween costume was I dressed up as a robot. And I'm pretty sure it was, it was just a big old cardboard box, with another cardboard box on top. It's not fun getting wig hair in your mouth. With another cardboard box on the top. And I put like dials and stuff on the front of it, and eye holes were cut out, and I drew gadgets and buttons and things like that. I think the robot was my very first Halloween. And I went out alone. My sister wasn't old enough or wasn't born, one of the two. I'm thinking probably wasn't old enough, but I remember going out alone that year with my mom. And I also remember as I was walking down the street in front of my place, out several houses down, I could see another kid dressed as a robot. Very, very, very similar robot. And my mom confirms that was my first costume. Very similar robot in that was cardboard boxes, probably tinfoil taped to certain parts. But this other kid had those glasses with the lights. And I was like, oh my God, he's like almost more like a real robot compared to me. And I thought, well, geez, as you get older, I thought, man, you gotta improve your costumes as you go. Like I couldn't go on being a robot without lights, obviously, from that point forward. But the robot costume, I just remember putting a lot of effort into the front design, getting little vents and gadgets on the front and trying to use my imagination to draw them with markers and things, crayons probably. But not really knowing what a robot was supposed to look like and wishing that I had some kind of reference material so that I could figure out what a robot's supposed to look like in the front. Who knows? That could have been pre-Star Wars, really. It could have been. I had all the standard costumes growing up. I was probably a cowboy at least once, but I do remember one year dressing up as Indiana Jones. And what ticked me off about the year that I was dressed up as Indiana Jones was that everybody thought I was a cowboy. I had a piece of rope that I used as a whip, as my bull whip, and I had a pistol, and I had a hat, and I would have been dressed appropriately to look sort of like Indiana Jones. I remember I put brown stuff on my face to make it look like I had some facial hair growing in. But everywhere I went, it's like, oh, look, a cowboy. It's like, I'm Indiana Jones. Not a cowboy, I'm Indiana Jones. That was a failure in my mind, that costume. If they can't identify you, then it's a failure. Even if they should have known who Indiana Jones was. I was Darth Vader one year, and my sister was Darth Vader, and I was a stormtrooper, which was kind of funny because the stormtrooper isn't supposed to be taller than Darth Vader, but here I am towering over this little tiny Darth Vader, and I gotta say that my sister dressed up as Darth Vader in those old photos of that old Halloween many years ago are so funny. Just this little tiny Darth Vader with this little plastic mask on, and I was much taller, and I had a little plastic stormtrooper mask on and a little plastic rifle. Because back then, every boy had a plastic gun. Well, hello, Dr. Catherine. We were just talking about you.
Oh, hello there.
Well, that's a nice backdrop that you have.
This is at the cottage.
Yes, but I haven't been inside your cottage due to the pandemic.
Oh, well, you remember what it looks like.
I don't remember the blue. So that you painted, that's where the wallpaper used to be. You painted that. Oh, that's very nice. I'm Max the Axe, by the way.
Oh, okay. You kind of look like Paul Stanley.
Somebody else thought I looked like Slash.
Oh, yeah, that too.
But I'm Max the Axe. We were just talking about the Halloween where you were Darth Vader and I was a stormtrooper. And it was funny because you were much shorter than me. And so here's Darth Vader with a gigantic stormtrooper, which was, to me, those photographs are hilarious.
I only remember it based on pictures and that plastic baseball bats were lightsabers.
That's right. It was the plastic. I was trying to remember what you had for a sword because I did have a plastic rifle.
Yeah, it was a plastic baseball bat.
Every boy back then had plastic guns. It was just a thing. Every single house had plastic guns, and it would be a thing where you would go out and play guns every once in a while. Then I remember the next Star Wars costume we had were the homemade, mom-made Ewoks, which were awesome.
Yeah, and I would say that was my definitely my best childhood Halloween costume.
I think the best costumes we ever had were the Ewoks, for sure.
Yeah.
They were full suit with little boot things that you put over your shoes, and they had, I think, mittens and the little hoods that you put over the Ewok heads. And can't remember the colors, but we had two different colors.
Mine was brown and yours was white.
I was a white Ewok and you... Okay.
Yeah. Which I don't think there were any white Ewoks, but you were the first one.
It was probably beige enough. Oh, and my mom says Ewok costumes were great. Yes, they were. My friend Kevin went as a Ghostbuster, and everyone thought he was a construction worker. And then he went as Mr. Stay Puft, and everybody thought he was the Pillsbury Doughboy. I was just explaining how the one year I went as Indiana Jones, and everybody thought I was a cowboy. Do you remember Steven Szabo and his Spider-Man costume?
No, I don't.
Well, his mom made homemade Halloween costumes every single year, and they were always awesome. And one year, Steven Szabo went as Spider-Man, and he was like perfect. He was like, looked like Peter Parker in the movie when he makes his own costume to go to the wrestling event. It was like that good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I remember Steven Szabo was Spider-Man, and probably more than once because it was such a good costume. What other costumes do you remember?
I remember getting that Ewok costume repurposed several times because first it was an Ewok, and then it was just a bear, and then Mom added a tail to it, and so then it was a cat. So I
Oh,
used that costume 3 times.
interesting. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that.
Yeah. And I remember once being like I wanted to be a punk rocker. So to me at that time that meant acid wash jeans and pink hair. So I did that. And yeah, a witch and some of those conventional ones. And ones that are a little controversial today, like the hobo costume. Did that once.
Really?
And yeah,
I
yeah,
don't remember that at all.
yeah.
Huh. I don't think I ever did a controversial one. I was the cowboy, but there was never an Indian to go with me, I don't
Oh,
think.
see, I was the Indian. I didn't. I
Oh,
wasn't.
you
I
were
wasn't going to mention that, but yeah,
this is like
yeah,
two strikes. Oh my
yeah.
god. Hang on. Max Sebastian thinks that my costume is brilliant. Okay, thank you. I'll take it. Rob Zaba won a Superman and Michelle won a Cinderella that one year.
I know it
And
was Snow. It was. It wasn't Cinderella. It was Snow White.
Snow White, there you
Yeah.
go. And Sebastian loves your place.
Oh, thank you.
That's pretty cool. I remember one year, it was actually the year of the Ewok. We had to have costumes at school, and I didn't want to wear the Ewok costume to school, so I was a Cobra Trooper. So all I did was I put my shirt over my nose like that, and I had a helmet, and I think I spray painted the helmet blue and painted Cobra logos on it, and that was my costume for that year as a Cobra Trooper. I'm not going to put Sebastian's comment on the screen.
I think I saw part of it.
Falling in love. Okay, we'll just pass on that. My mom says it was Snow White. Another costume that I remember was I was Frankenstein one year, and I remember making like my hair out of a cardboard box because his hair always looked really squarish, and I just like spray painted a cardboard box black and put that on my head and painted myself green. But then that's when you realize how hard that Halloween makeup is to get off at the end of the night. And 5 out of 7 times Halloween was a school night.
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta wash up, get to bed, and we also had our traditions that we always went to see Grandma and Grandpa after trick-or-treating.
Yep.
And I'm not 100% sure why. I think it was just because they wanted to see us in our costumes.
I think so, yeah.
There was really no practical reason for us to drive across town to collect more candy.
Yeah.
Mom wants to see Daisy's costume.
She's not wearing it anymore.
Oh.
So I can't really.
But she was a Kiss fan tonight. Daisy
she was wearing a Kiss t-shirt.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I think we have pictures of that I can post.
I can like put a picture on the screen if that works. I don't know how well you can see it, but okay.
Yeah. Chris Sarr, I got a story about this. You must remember something. Okay, so I'm gonna make this big. Oh yeah, there you go. There's the dog dressed up as a Kiss fan. That's awesome. Chris Sarr doesn't remember St. Dan's Halloween, but I do. And maybe it was just Mrs. Powers, but I thought it was like a school policy. But on Halloween, you had to have a costume. And if you didn't wear a costume, they would make you wear a black garbage bag. They would cut a hole here, and a hole here, and they would make you wear a black garbage bag as your costume. Do you remember that at all?
No.
Well, I swear on the Holy Bible that is what they did at St. Daniel's. At least one of my classes, at least one, and I want to say Powers because she was the most evil one.
Yeah. That would make sense that it would be her, but I don't remember that.
Apparently, I also look like Howard Stern, so there's another. That's like a fourth name of what I could possibly look like. Sebastian is all about total approval tonight, and Mom confirms we did dress up. I remember Ian Johnson dressed up as a punk rocker one year, and he did that by putting Kool-Aid in his hair. Because it's like pure sugar, so you could just go like crazy. Mom doesn't remember the garbage bag story, but I sure do. Poor kids who didn't show up in costumes or wearing garbage bags. I remember that at recess. that school was evil. They should make a movie about Catholic schools being so evil. Trying to think of more costumes. I am sure I was Han Solo one year because there was that one year I had the blue snow coat with the hood, and it was perfect for playing Hoth Han Solo. So I am certain I dressed up as Han Solo at least one year. Do you remember? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I don't remember that. I dressed up as Princess Leia as an adult, but not as a kid.
Do you remember us dressing up as Han Solo at all? Like every winter?
Oh, well, yeah, the jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and I always got like the ski goggles so I could be Han Solo out on Hoth looking for Luke Skywalker, and you were usually Luke, and you were like, I'm dying. Dagobah, Dagobah. And I'd be like, shut up, kid. I got to put you inside this tauntaun. Stuff like that. Sebastian wants to podcast with my cool mom and get the dirt on us. My fear is that mom would actually do that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
She has been known to do things like that in the past. Steal our friends, tell stories to our friends. She has a reputation for that. Do you remember the first year when we did the haunted house at Bob Shipper's house?
I remember several haunted houses, but I don't remember what was the first year.
Well, I do, because it was 1986. And I decided that high school was the first year that you don't go trick-or-treating. But I dressed up, I believe, as Alice Cooper. And we did the haunted house thing with the paper mache heads.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
We made those every single year. We had all kinds of spooky music that we played. And then we were the guys that were handing out the candy. And we started getting lots of compliments on how cool the house was. So that became the tradition for, like, I would say the next 4 years, maybe. Bob Shipper and I did the haunted house first at his house, and then his parents got sick and tired of it and he kicked him out and put him on our house. Do you remember that part?
Yeah. And I remember adding an extra 6 to the house number.
True. We made it 666. Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is true. And apparently mom will give dirt, and it looks like we're screwed now. So apparently, great. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot. I remember also in our neighborhood there was the fudge house, and even in the years that I didn't go trick or treating anymore, we still made a run to the fudge house because of homemade fudge every single year.
Yeah, well, I remember
a big piece.
Yeah. I remember you and Bob were too old to go, so you got me to go more than once, and you gave me different costumes, so to try to fool them, so I could get extra fudge for you. But they knew. They're like, weren't you here before?
No way!
So it didn't work. But yeah, you tried. You tried.
Oh, that is so funny. I can't believe I don't remember that, but it sounds like something that would have been Bob's idea.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Totally. That would have been Bob Shipper's idea for sure. Can remember quite a few Halloweens where there was snow on the ground. Can remember quite a few Halloweens where there was nobody around. And then I can remember other Halloweens where Dad had to make a run to Shortstop to buy more candy.
Yep.
I also remember at the end of the night, you would take your big bag and you dump the bag of candy on the floor and you kind of sort through and be like, okay, Smarties, I have 5 Smarties, and 3 arrows. But for me, I think the rarest and best treat were the bags of Lay's.
No, totally. Those were my favorite. Chips or cheesies. It was what I always wanted to get.
Yeah. They were the least common.
Yeah, they were. Yep. And you had to go to a lot of houses to get a good haul of chips.
Yes. And it was always you're always lucky if you got one, and you never traded your chips away.
Yep.
You tried to trade for chips, but it would be like, I'm not trading for chips unless you give me all your arrows or whatever.
Yeah.
And I hated those little orange toffee things with the cats on them. Those were like the worst candy that you could get.
I hated the pink popcorn.
Oh, I remember the pink.
Yeah, it had like an elephant on the box.
Yeah, that was basically a throw-outable.
Yep.
That was not very good. Apple. There was always the one house that had the apple.
Yeah.
And I believe there was a toothbrush house.
Yeah.
There was a dentist that lived there. And Kevin agrees with us that chips are better than candy.
Yeah.
This afternoon, Becky is handing out full bars with pop and chips. Wow. Don't give out that address. Chris Starr hated getting apples, and popcorn at Halloween should be outlawed. I agree. Halloween kisses. Is that what those things were called? Those orange things? They were barf. Hello, Renee. How are you? I don't remember getting cans of pop.
No, I never got one of those. No.
No, not in our neighborhood. I don't remember getting drink boxes or anything like that. Occasionally you'd get gum. Gum was another like one that I didn't care about. I kind of was disappointed anytime you'd get gum.
Yeah.
And trying to remember some of the other candies. Oh, rockets. Rockets were great. Those little wrapped up the round things. Bob Shipper used to love these.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet tarts, but he always called them sweet treats. Bottle caps, that was another one. Oh man, we had some really good Halloweens. I don't know what it's like tonight. I live in a condo, so I don't get trick-or-treaters. And you're in the wilderness.
There's no one here.
There's no one there. Apparently Chris Starr shared a picture today of that old pink elephant popcorn, that terrible, terrible popcorn.
It was so gross, yeah.
Halloween kisses were the orange wrapped toffees that I hated. Look at that. Another person that used to get pop for Halloween. Like full cans of soda? Hi, Mike. Chateau Pop. I don't remember Chateau Pop. No. Pop Shop, yes. But that came in a bottle, not a can. All of these memories that people have, these are not people that are from very far from us. They're all in Canada. So it's interesting that they have such different memories of Halloween, getting pop for Halloween.
That's very odd, yeah. I would have been okay with that, though, but I just never got it.
No, I would have been fine with it, too. It is interesting. I remember also in some of the later years when the neighborhood kind of dried up, you'd like hand the kids 3 or 4 candies at a time just to get rid of it all because it's too much.
Yeah.
There was one house on Kevin Street that gave away pop. Isn't that bizarre? And he's only in Stouffville, so that's not very far from us. That's so strange. Well, I've never heard of it before. I'm 48 years old, and I've never heard of people getting cans of pop for Halloween. I saw a hilarious video this week, and it was the dad sorting through the kids' candy. Do you remember how you had to have mom and dad sort through the candy and make sure there was no poison?
Yep.
So the dad's sorting through the candy. He's like pulling a hypodermic needle out and throws it away, and then he goes, "What's this?" And it's a Nickelback CD. And that reminds me, I think there was a movie where wasn't like Billy Madison or something like that, where Adam Sandler's taking the kid trick or treat, and he's like taking all the CDs out of the guy's house.
I don't remember.
Okay, never mind then. Our house is on top of a hill and has a set of stairs that leads to the front door. He loves it. No trick or treaters. It's a great defense mechanism. So Dad would have loved living at the top of that hill because he hated trick-or-treaters. And what he really hated about trick-or-treaters was how the dog went crazy with the door. And he had to put up barriers. The dog coming down the stairs and yipping at the kids. And the dog would occasionally get over the barrier. Oh, what a mess. What a mess.
Yep. Yeah, for years and years and years.
Oh, yeah. Yippy dogs and Halloween do not work well. What are some of your favorite dog costumes that you've done, though? Because I know you've done dog costumes.
Yeah, I've done... Daisy was a butterfly, which had these neat, colorful wings that she hated, but looked really neat. My dog Lacey was a Triceratops. That was a...
Oh, I remember that one. That was good, yeah.
Yeah, and Callie was a pirate, and that was pretty cute.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, that's about it.
Did we ever dress the dog up for Halloween when we were kids?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember doing that.
I remember dressing the dog up, but not for Halloween. I remember a baseball player dog, and I remember World Wrestling Federation champion dog.
Yeah, but none of that was for Halloween.
No, because you couldn't get the dog to keep anything on.
Yeah.
So not a lot of trick-or-treaters out tonight. I was out with my kids. We have lots of candy still. And Max the Axe doesn't do Nickelback. That's good news. His dog Chewy had the headless horse rider. I got to check out that photo. That would be an interesting photo. The headless horse rider dog. I can see that working really well. I could also see if you owned like a pure white dog, a Pegasus.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, that would be super cool.
Very, very, very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining for some Halloween memories. I'm sorry that now Mom apparently is going to do a podcast about us.
Yeah, she won't do
that. No, I'm sure you can prevent that.
Yep.
But I will say that Sebastian is persistent, and I wouldn't put it past Sebastian to make it happen behind our backs. No, just so you know, something bad has happened tonight, and it's my fault.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for joining.
All right, thanks for having me.
Happy Halloween at the lake with the awesome cottage.
Yep. Okay.
See ya.
Bye.
Right. Atreyu! That's that. I was actually thinking the Pegasus from Clash of the Titans, but yes, the Never-Ending Story. That's actually red, Lana. Catherine's favorite color is red. It's probably fading, but Catherine's favorite color is red. She's always got red in her hair. Yeah, Alfeeder Kurds. Well, see, that's what I was afraid of. I was afraid that you would be persistent, and yeah. So basically, Catherine and I are going to get thrown under the bus by my mom and Sebastian Xavier Munier. That's fantastic. Just fantastic. Oh, so that was Dr. Catherine Ladano. Thank you for joining tonight, Catherine. And Halloween 2020, here we are. I am your host, Max the Axe. And earlier tonight, we were playing a song called Oktoberfest Cheer from my brand new forthcoming punk covers EP. Oh my goodness. Okay, so heads up. We have another guest. Another guest is inbound. And this guest is a little bit, I'm kind of a big deal, but this guy's really a big deal. I'd like you to please welcome world famous singer, songwriter, bassist, demon, Gene motherfucking Simmons. How you doing tonight, Gene?
Oh, yeah.
I think Gene might be joining us all the way from Thunder Bay, Ontario.
Simmons here. Happy Halloween, you freaks out there. Big announcement I'm about to make here.
Oh.
COVID has shut KISS down. But I'm here to tell you all that Mean Gene is taking my war paint and I'm hitting the road in early 2022 with KISS. Oh, yeah. And what better way in 2022 to announce the full-scale return of this fella right here.
It's Vinnie Vincent. It's Vinnie Vincent.
Oh.
Will he show up?
Vinnie is back.
Vinnie is back.
Back from his career being buried since 1988. Back on the streets. No wait around. Did you see what I did there, Ladano?
I did.
Tommy Thayer is going to be washing down my armor every night after my performance. Plus, Tommy will be making donuts backstage as per our contract writer. Plus, Tommy can handle a mean iron. So, all right. Oh, yeah. I'm out. And remember, we are all creatures of the night.
Thank you, Gene. Wow, how about that for a scoop, folks? Vinnie Vincent is back in KISS, according to Gene Simmons himself. Wow, now that is big news, folks. You just heard it here for the very first time on the LeBrain train. Fantastic. I have a feeling that Gene might have been joining us from somewhere at a secret location in Thunder Bay, Ontario, but that's just me. Mike Kudis points out that Oliver Jewelry in Toronto also uses that "oh yeah" as his catchphrase. But Gene does say that live in concert. Ooh yeah! But yeah, I know who you're talking about. Oliver Jewelry in Toronto does say "oh yeah" a lot in his ads. Yes. Did Gene sell his mansion? Apparently. Harrison is in Australia. Thank you for joining us today, Harrison, at 7:30 in the morning. It's Sunday morning for Harrison, so he could have slept in. Now, Lana, this is a good question. Where is Gene's hair? That is a good question, and I didn't get to ask him that. So that's poor journalism on my part. I don't think Gene Simmons would ever wear a wig. What do you guys think? I'll throw that out to you guys. I don't think Gene Simmons would ever wear a wig. Because it's good to be me, Simmons. Yeah. That's right. Daylight savings time is tomorrow. I got to remember. Remember, fall back. Turn your clocks back tonight. I have also always wanted to go to Australia. They don't have daylight saving time, but Canada does. That was the first time I was happy to see Gene Simmons, says Kevin. Australia is nice in autumn, winter, and spring. Summer, not so much. I've heard that you have hot summers, Harrison. Which is unfortunate, but hey, you got 3 months of the year that are nice, apparently. Yeah. You know what? That's a good subject for another day, perhaps. I don't want to talk about Gene Simmons on this happy Halloween, but I will say that in order to be a KISS fan, I've had to put aside a lot of my feelings about Gene Simmons as a person. That is all I will say about that. Anyway, thank you so much to Gene Simmons for showing up tonight. Means a lot to me personally. And of course, thank you to Dr. Catherine for showing up tonight. I'm your host, Max the Axe. I'm kind of a big deal. Here's all my albums. I'm kind of a big deal. But you know what else? Is I can't do an unboxing today, but I do have some cool stuff to show you that arrived in the mail today. Gene, he didn't lose his hair. He cut his hair for Runaway, if you remember. At least you have seasons. It's hot every day in Hawaii. Yeah, but you can just jump in the ocean, right? I can't jump in the ocean. Yeah, just listen to their music for now. That is the best policy with any band, really. Howard Stern look-alike. Yeah, so it's the glasses. The glasses makes me look like Stern. But anyway, I was going to show you this package that I got in the mail today. Got some long-awaited Star Wars action figures. These are like a year old, and I finally am just getting them because Star Wars action figures are impossible to find these days. But here, Sir Christopher Lee is Count Dooku, and that is a fantastic likeness of Count Dooku. I'm really thrilled with that figure. To go with Dooku, here is a Geonosis battle droid. There's a number of different variations of battle droids out there, and I'd like to have them all, but I can't even keep track of them all. This is a neat one. This is a limited, or maybe not limited, but it's a special deluxe figure. And this is the Heavy Mandalorian from I believe the final episode of season 1 of The Mandalorian. The dude with the big heavy gun. I only got one of this guy. I like to have one to keep sealed and one to open. But this guy was expensive because he is a deluxe figure. So that's my Heavy Mando. Very nice figure. This is a special one. This is a limited carbonized Stormtrooper. Normally these guys are white. This guy's been carbonized and he looks silver. I bought 2 of these so I can open one. And you can see the carbonized boxes are different in design. There's all kinds of these carbonized figures. I showed off a carbonized Vader not too many weeks ago. He had kind of like a shiny bluish sheen to him. This guy has a shiny silver sheen and looks great. And finally, I have episode 2, Obi-Wan Kenobi, with the mullet hairstyle. I have an episode 3 Obi-Wan, but now I have an episode 2 as well. Again, these likenesses really good. That really does look like you in episode 2, Attack of the Clones. So those are my new arrivals today. I've been waiting forever. You can't find new Star Wars figures around here. You just can't. And I'm many, many waves behind. Oh, let's see the comments here. Love me some Count Dooku, says Harrison Kopp. He was a good villain, in my opinion. I really enjoyed Christopher Lee as Count Dooku. Christopher Lee had his own metal band. It is true. He released at least one metal album. I think maybe more than one. Not really my style, but I have heard it. Yes. Yes. Well, I as long as the record stores thing, I don't need a mall personally, but a record store. A long time, Rob. My packages have been taking a long time to be delivered. Kiss and Philosophy, I keep getting emails about Kiss and Philosophy saying we don't know when it's arriving. So, yeah, things are taking a long time to arrive. This package from Big Bad Toy Store, maybe a month. Distribution in Australia is kind of dodgy. Yeah, well, I can say the same thing about Canada now, unfortunately. That's unfortunate. Not too many people places to buy CDs in Hawaii. That's unfortunate. One of our record stores here, Mill Pond Records, just closed. They're looking for a new buyer. So, you know, the pain is being felt here too. There you go. Christopher Lee did 2 symphonic metal albums and some Christmas metal songs. Did Little Drummer Boy because I know I downloaded that one off iTunes. And I'm curious too, where do you buy your music in Australia, Harrison? You know, for Harrison, it's not Halloween anymore. For Harrison, it's November 1st. How was your Halloween, Harrison? When we were kids, we had a lot of Halloween traditions, as I talked about earlier with my sister. We always went to Grandma and Grandpa's after trick-or-treating because they wanted to see us in our costumes. And I believe they would take our pictures and they'd give us all the leftover candies and stuff like that. But after that, we would come back to our house and we would watch some of our favorite Halloween specials. The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, has to be my favorite Halloween special of all time. I just have so many memories of looking forward to seeing Charlie Brown every single year. In fact, I don't really remember any other Halloween specials, come to think of it. I think there was a Halloween themed Grinch special that ran very, very seldomly. But it's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. It's the only real Halloween special that I remember watching every single year as kids. And it was the kind of thing you didn't want to miss it. And you know what? It made you happy because when you see The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, you realize that Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown is just around the corner. And you start looking forward to Christmas. It's a build-up, you know. In Australia, there are some electronic stores that sell everything electronics related, kind of probably like our Best Buys and Future Shops up here. But here, they stopped carrying CDs. Rick Allen's birthday is November 1st. Happy birthday, Rick Allen from Def Leppard. Halloween was great, but not for Halloween reasons. The weather was so nice. Overcast and cool the whole day. That's good. My sister was telling me that doesn't even feel like Halloween. You know, Lana, it feels like Halloween to me in terms of social media. Not everybody's dressing up, but a lot of people are posting old Halloween party pictures. So I'm seeing a lot of really great costumes. So to me, on social media, it feels like Halloween just because I'm seeing costumes and whatnot. But out there, it's quiet as a mouse. Quiet as a mouse out there. Nothing. No kids. Nothing. It is cold. But that never discouraged us as kids. There were many Halloweens where I was frigid. But we never missed a Halloween when we were kids. Rain, snow, cold, didn't matter. You never missed a Halloween. So this is strange. Obviously, we all understand the reasons why, but I hope next year, I hope next year's different. If all is well, maybe you'll be, I won't be on the internet dressed up as Max the Axe. Maybe I'll be at a Max the Axe party, rocking with Max the Axe, dressed as Max the Axe. That would be nice. That would be nice. We used to do Halloween parties at the record store, and I dressed up as Paul Stanley. Trevor, I don't. I've told this story before. The climate is different today. We live in a country where our prime minister got in a little bit of trouble for having dressed up in blackface in the past. But I will tell you, having lived through the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, lots of people dressed, lots of my white friends dressed as black characters. And it's not that we were racist. It was that we loved these characters. I would have loved to have dressed as like Lando Calrissian, for example. But my buddy Trevor, he dressed as Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction. And he bought a curly wig. He couldn't find one that was like Jackson's hair. So he had to buy a longer wig, and then he trimmed it to look like Jackson's in Pulp Fiction. He grew out his sideburns the way that Jackson had his in Pulp Fiction. Wore a suit, had a briefcase, went with a guy who was dressed as John Travolta. And it was done with nothing but pure love of Samuel L. Jackson, his favorite actor. And, I hope people understand that in the 90s, it was different. I understand the reasons why blackface is no longer cool. It was different in the 90s, is all I can tell you. So, you can criticize Prime Minister Selfie for dressing up in blackface when he was a young, stupid kid. But I got to say, I know people who dressed up in blackface when we were young. And it was done with nothing but love of the actor, the character, the movie. And I feel bad, Trevor meant nothing by that. But it's not something he really can show off pictures of anymore. Like, look at this really cool Pulp Fiction themed costume we did one year. Our neighborhoods in Stanley Park and Heritage Park were predominantly white. It was entirely white where I was. I barely knew any kids that weren't white. And we loved that movie. We loved Pulp Fiction. We quoted Samuel Jackson nonstop. Trevor was going around that night talking about the path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the tyranny of evil men. And, he got me into Pulp Fiction. Trevor got me not into Pulp Fiction, but I would say Trevor was responsible for getting me into Samuel L. Jackson. I was aware of Samuel L. Jackson before Pulp Fiction. He'd had a career before that, but seeing that movie and seeing that character, first of all, it was that character. It was Samuel's character that sold me on that movie. He was the highlight of every scene that he was in. I think the movie just kind of drops to a dull thud when it's the Bruce Willis story. And then we kind of just started watching Samuel Jackson in anything that he put out. It's like, oh, there's a new Samuel Jackson movie out. Let's check it out. And even if the movie was shit, you could count on Jackson being good. You could count on him dropping some killer lines. That's the whole premise of Snakes on a Plane. It's a shitty movie, but Samuel L. Jackson gets to drop cool lines through it. It's a really shitty movie, incidentally. So long story short, I am sensitive to why blackface. I understand the history of blackface, which I didn't necessarily understand back then. I understand why it is so taboo, but in the 90s it was different. And I don't think people should be shamed for things that they did in a different time. It was meant with nothing but love. And as Kevin says here, Dressing up as a character or celebrity is different than dressing up as a generic ethnic person. And that is true. Now, unfortunately, as my sister said, cowboys and Indians were a popular costume when we were kids. But it wasn't me that dressed up as the Indian. It was her. I was the cowboy. Anyway, just never just darken your skin, which is Prime Minister Selfie did dress up as a generic character, I believe. I don't believe he dressed up as like a beloved figure. Here's an interesting thing. Best movie with Samuel Jackson, in his view, is a movie called Fresh, which I don't know of it. I would say my favorite Jackson movie is Pulp Fiction. It's definitely not episode 2. I'll tell you that. It's definitely not episode 2. Lana, if it's a character, I think it's fine. Having said this, it's not like I'm going to go rush out and try to dress up as an ethnic character anymore. I understand this, you know, and while it was normal for people my age to have dressed as cowboys and Indians when we were kids in the 70s and 80s, I would never do it now. I understand that to a native Canadian or American, those are not costumes. It's a ceremonial dress. It's deeply important to them as a people. So I get that. I have no problem with that. I wish that I could wear one of those really cool Indian headdresses, because let's face it, those things are really cool. But hey, that ain't for me. I have my own heritage, which is, you know, spaghetti and meatballs. And on the other side of the family, it's haggis and scones. So I guess if I want to dress up as an Italian plumber for Halloween, I can do that. Nobody can scold me for dressing up as an Italian plumber or groundskeeper Willie or some generic Scottish character, because that's my heritage. And you know what? Speaking of Scottish heritage, a big shad memorial for Sean Connery today. We lost the original 007. We lost the greatest 007 today, Sean Connery. And I can say this because I'm also part Italian, but count on a wop to bring a knife to a gunfight. Age 90, we lost Sean Connery. He's been retired a long time. Long time. So, you know, he's been out of the public awareness, but proud Scottish heritage there. And always loved when Sean Connery would come out with something new when we were kids. I think my favorite Sean Connery quote, personally speaking, and there's so many, but from Indiana Jones, it's goose-stepping morons like yourself that should be reading books instead of burning them. Goose-stepping morons. Love it. Love it. Lana, I think Roger Taylor has a song called Cowboys and Indians. That may be true. And interestingly enough, his son, Rufus Tiger Taylor, who plays in The Darkness, he kind of wore an Indian headdress in the music video for Last of Our Kind. And I don't remember him ever catching any flack for doing that, but I can imagine that it might be offensive to some. He is as British and as white as anybody can be. Untouchables is his favorite Connery movie, and I mentioned that one to my mom earlier today, but count on a wop to bring a knife to a gunfight. What's odd is that we've lost so many celebrities this year and not from COVID. That's true. But Lana, you know, I'm kind of realizing that as I'm hitting a certain age, a lot of the celebrities I grew up with are also hitting a certain age. There will be a new generation of celebrities that will be just as important to this new generation. But a lot of the people from my time are gone. Sean Connery was somebody I grew up with, although strangely enough, he wasn't my Bond. Roger Moore was my Bond growing up. Live and Let Die. You Only Live Twice was the Bond movie that I have really strong memories of growing up, and that's a Roger Moore. But yeah, we have lost a lot of celebrities this year to cancer and to other non-COVID things. Obviously, Eddie Van Halen was a crushing loss this year. Oh, boy. But anyway, back to Halloween. Here's something offensive to my wife. Again, young and stupid. I guess the year was probably 94. And I was hanging out with my friend Aaron, not the Aaron from Keeps Me Alive that you saw on the show last night. The other friend Aaron that was on the show a couple weeks ago. And we were hanging out with this guy named Chris, and he invited us to one of his church's Halloween parties, which was fine. There was a wide variety of age groups there. And I remember the one chaperone, because there were chaperones there for a church Halloween party. I remember the one chaperone said, well, let's all have a good time. Let's not celebrate anything satanic. And I was just thinking to myself, satanic? This is the first time I've ever heard that word associated with Halloween. But of course, there's different origins to Halloween than I was aware of when I was a young fella. But let's have a nice Halloween, nothing satanic. But I decided that it would be funny to show these people my party trick. Seizure contests. Aaron and I took turns sitting in a chair and mimicking seizures. And we would flail about just wildly. I injured myself once having a seizure contest, but that was my idea of funny. Yeah, there you go. Halloween 94. Here I am offending people. Seizure contests. But anyway, Aaron had epilepsy. And he's participating in the seizure contest. Revenge of the Sith is his top Jackson film, and Last Crusade is his favorite Connery film. Obviously, a lot more to those films than just those actors, but they really help make those films. I really like Samuel Jackson as Mace Windu. I would like to see Samuel Jackson somehow return as Mace Windu beyond his little voice cameo in The Rise of Skywalker. It would be nice if he did something else. They've got so many TV series and whatnot coming out. Perhaps Jackson can return as Mace Windu. He was great. Oh, yeah, so Halloween 94. I remember there was a kid dressed up as the Crow, because Brandon Lee, the Crow, was very popular at that time. I cannot remember what Aaron and I dressed as. I cannot remember for the life of me. So strange. I might have dressed as Alice Cooper a second time just because it was something easy for me to do. Grab some makeup and put it on. But I don't remember. I do not remember at all what my costume was. Nick Fury is okay. Jackson's Nick Fury is his fave Nick Fury. Yes. Well, he kind of redefined Nick Fury. The comic books changed the character to match Jackson's appearance, or maybe added an alternate Nick Fury to match his appearance. But when I was growing up, Nick Fury was a crusty looking white guy. And when Jackson showed up as Nick Fury in Iron Man, I was like, all aboard, man. All aboard. No issues here. This is great. I'd like to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. It was great. Samuel Jackson has defined Nick Fury in a way that is similar to me to the way Patrick Stewart has defined Professor Charles Xavier. There's a whole generation of people that Patrick Stewart is no longer Captain Picard. He is Professor X. Thank you, Rosanna. I'm not Mike tonight. I'm Max the Axe tonight, Rosanna. I think my wife finds me cute as well, so thank you. Lana's favorite Halloween movie is one I have to confess I've never seen. Carrie. And I also don't know what the Halloween Town movies are. I'm sorry. Cringe. Max the Axe is a Mike, though. That is true. Max the Axe is a Mike. And he's also kind of a big deal, just like me. Where's Pablo? I'm kind of a big deal. Halloween movies for me were never a big thing. Like I said, it was always The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. That was the big one for me. Trying to think now. Halloween movies. I know The Nightmare Before Christmas is a big one with a lot of people. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is a big one with a lot of people. They don't appeal to me too much. I'm not into the musical stuff so much. Not into the Tim Burton so much. I don't have a lot of real Halloween-themed movies, personally, in my life. The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown is the only thing I can really think of as something that we wanted to watch every single year. Halloween Town is from Disney Channel, what my generation grew up with. I wonder if that means Disney Plus. Excuse me. Did anybody watch The Mandalorian yesterday? I'm curious if anybody wants to talk about The Mandalorian during the show today. I am open to discussion on The Mandalorian, Season 2, Episode 1. I would have loved to have dressed up as Boba Fett when I was a kid. But no, I liked Stormtroopers. I really liked Stormtrooper armor and Stormtrooper helmets. So having that plastic Stormtrooper mask was about as cool as it was for me. And like I said earlier, every kid had a plastic gun. It wasn't unusual. You would play guns. You could see my sister get kind of uncomfortable when we were talking about the plastic guns, but she knows what I'm talking about. So dressing up as Han Solo, dressing up as Luke Skywalker, everybody had a plastic gun they could use for their sidearm. It was finding the lightsabers that were difficult. I did have a plastic lightsaber, but Catherine's right that we used a plastic baseball bat for a lightsaber that year for her Vader. And I used a plastic rifle, a cowboy rifle, really. My dad made us guns out of wood as well. He would just get a plank of press board or plywood, and he would use a jigsaw to cut the outline of a gun, and he would paint it, and that's what we would use for toy guns. I had a holster. Yeah. Don't let Holland say, I don't like Burton, man. Batman was okay. The second one sucks. Tim Burton ruined Planet of the Apes. I think that spoof of Tim Burton that they did on Family Guy sums him up perfectly. Spooky, spooky, weirdness. That about sums up Tim Burton for me. Mandalorian was so good. One of the best episodes yet. I agree. And great to see that armor back in action again. You know what else was interesting about that armor, Harrison? I think it was the first time that we saw the scope on that particular helmet go down, and then he uses it to aim the missile on his back and fire the missile. Don't think we've ever seen that on screen before. That was a moment for me, and we got to see it twice. Timothy Oliphant was great in last night's episode. Yes, I understand that, Lana, but I'm wondering, just because everything Disney-related is on Disney+, I'm wondering if it's on Disney+ now. You know what? Good point. Beetlejuice. We saw it in the theater in 1988. Didn't like it. Didn't get it. Wasn't until it came out on VHS. We always rented a movie that we saw in the theater on VHS to give it a second try. And it wasn't until we got it on VHS that we're like, oh, okay, this isn't bad. But we all hated Beetlejuice when we first saw it in the theater. Today I'm indifferent. I love Michael Keaton, but I'm completely indifferent to Beetlejuice now. It's, I don't have a lot of nostalgia for it. And part of my nostalgia for it is going to see it that one year in the theaters and not liking it. So, yeah, I like the concept of Beetlejuice. Just hearing the different jetpack sounds was so great, too. Much nostalgia, even if some of the other two didn't land as well as the armor. You're referring to the Crate Dragon. I even though it was a ripoff of a sandworm from Dune, I liked it. Beetlejuice and Batman are the two Burton movies I like. Pee-wee's Big Adventure for me, Kevin. And it doesn't really feel like a Burton movie nearly as much as his later stuff. Feels just as it's 50-50 Pee-wee and Burton, and it works. It's a good mixture. So I would go with Pee-wee's Big Adventure myself. Kind of sad Marshall gave it up. Yes, I loved Timothy Oliphant as the Marshal. I thought it was interesting how ill-fitting the armor was. They made it obviously ill-fitting. They purposely made it look terrible on the Marshal. Clearly, he was not meant to inhabit that armor. He didn't know the first thing about how to wear it. It wasn't built for his body. So he had to give it up. But he was a great character. I liked Timothy Oliphant as the Marshal. It was a great episode, Harrison. I think that's the first time we've seen two jetpack users fighting side by side in live action. I don't think so. I think there were multiple jetpack users fighting side by side at the end of season 1. Oh, R5 and the pod engine? Yeah. R5 apparently was in season 1. The pod engine was cool. It looked like possibly one salvaged from Anakin's racer, possibly. That was cool, turning a pod engine into a speeder. I liked Pee-wee's Playhouse, but I didn't see the movie. Not my bag until a couple years ago. Not my bag. We didn't like Pee-wee's Playhouse when we were growing up. It was too kiddie oriented. But we loved Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Loved Large Marge. Loved the whole thing. Deep in the heart of Texas. Yeah, so that's how I feel about Tim Burton. I'm throwing out tons of controversial opinions here tonight, aren't I? Tons of controversial opinions about Tim Burton, about Halloween costumes, all the Mandos. Yeah, and there you go. Harrison sides with me. The Marshall speeder came from Anakin's pod. Now, it's kind of stupid to think that of all the engines in all of Tatooine, this one character ends up with a piece of Darth Vader's pod racer. Kind of, kind of a stretch, but hey, man, something had to happen to that pod racer after episode 1. Somebody split it up for parts, apparently. Somebody converted one of the engines into a speeder. That was pretty cool, even though it was completely fan service. I at some point or another, you have to realize that they're going to throw fan service stuff at us. If they didn't, we'd be bitching and complaining that there's not enough Star Wars stuff in it. There's not enough Star Wars. It's all different. It's all new. Blah, blah, blah. Everybody would whine and complain. So throwing stuff like Anakin's pod racer in there, sure. Okay. It's kind of weird how Jawas keep turning up on every different planet, but it was a good episode. It was a good episode. I think my biggest issue with this season so far, as depicted, is the premise, which is unfortunate. That's not a good thing to have an issue with. But here's my issue. His goal this season is to reunite the child with his people. We were told last season that the child's people is a race of magician warriors called Jedi. So, in my opinion, the Mandalorian should not be traveling the galaxy looking for other Mandalorians to help him take this kid home. He should just say flat out, I'm looking for the Jedi. And I'm sure at some point or another, somebody would be able to point him in the direction of Luke Skywalker, the greatest, most famous Jedi in the galaxy. That seems to me to be the most direct course of action if he's trying to reunite this child with its quote-unquote people, the Jedi. So I see this going kind of roundabout. He's going to be looking for other Mandalorians. He's going to run into Boba Fett. And he could just directly start searching for Jedi instead and probably end up crossing paths with Luke. But we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. You're an esteemed contrarian company tonight. Controversy away. Well, there you go. There's my controversial Mandalorian complaint. More opinionated pertaining to individual tastes. Well, it depends, Rob. There is such thing as cancel culture. I could get canceled tonight if I'm too controversial. You never know. You never know, Rob. Anyway, curious what you think about my issue with The Mandalorian. Interestingly enough, the most surprising thing about last night's episode of The Mandalorian was that they barely utilized the child at all. It was strictly a Mando episode. And I think the child is one of the most interesting things about this season, but of course you have to use him sparingly. George Lucas didn't want to reveal too much about Yoda's race. So it's amazing that they went as far as including a baby Yoda in the series at all. But you can't use too much. I don't think I'd want to see the baby Yoda's homeworld, although they may end up going that place in the end. I don't think that's something we want to see, is a home world for the Baby Yoda. And I hope they don't go there. What I would like to see at the end of this season, I would like to see the Mandalorian drop the baby off with Luke Skywalker at his Jedi Academy. The only problem with that is that means that Baby Yoda gets slaughtered a few years later by Kylo Ren. But that's I think that's how I'd like to see the season end. I would like to see the Mandalorian say, "Here you go, Luke. Here's a baby for you." And then Luke, "You okay, sweetie?" "Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot to tell you. Jen just found out Sean Connery died." It would be too easy a cop-out if Baby Yoda saved the day every episode, says Tyler Weber, and you're 100% right. And he did not save the day in this episode at all. He was simply a bystander looking cute the whole time. And that did surprise him, especially for a season opener. But, of course, last season, the season opener only had a smidgen of Baby Yoda. And there was no Moff Gideon in this episode. No Imperials, no Moff Gideon. No Grief Karga, no Cara Dune. They're saving those characters for upcoming episodes. We did see Boba Fett, and the Star Wars Wikipedia has confirmed that is Boba Fett that we saw at the end of the episode, not an errant clone, not anybody else. That is Boba Fett that we saw at the end of the episode. And I think Boba Fett wants his clothes back, is what I think. Season 3 is confirmed, so Mando's not done with this one's end. That doesn't mean that Baby Yoda will be a part of the entire series. It could be, but Mando's journey could be different from the Baby Yoda. We don't know what they have planned in long-term story arcs. They might have only planned 2 seasons of Baby Yoda story arc. We don't know. But we'll see. We will see. My Disney Plus is about to renew, so I will be watching this entire season as it unfolds over the next 8 weeks. Harrison, I love Moff Gideon so much. One of my favorite Imperials, only after Thrawn. Okay, Harrison, how much screen time have we had of Moff Gideon? 15 minutes total? You can't say Moff Gideon is your favorite Imperial after Thrawn with only 15 minutes of screen time. Let's be realistic here. Vader? Tarkin? The Emperor? Admiral Piet? Come on. Admiral Ozzel? General Veers? Come on, you can't say Moff Gideon's your favorite Imperial after Thrawn, after so little screen time. We know nothing about him. We know he possesses the Darksaber, and we know he's ruthless and not beyond slaughtering his own troops, and we know he's smart. Don't think we know enough about Moff Gideon to elevate him to that height yet. Lana, I don't know. I don't know. I do know that The Mandalorian is filmed on a massive soundstage. What do they call it? The Bulk? I believe they call it the Bulk. And basically what it is, it's this massive soundstage with screens. And as the characters walk, the screens can change perspective. And basically they film the entire thing in this bulk. They never have to go on location. Everything is just screen projection. It's really interesting. Well, I can, so says Harrison. Okay, fine, fair enough. I don't count Vader. Piet's cool. So is Veers. Krennic is good. I like Krennic, even though he's a loser. Gideon is awesome in all that screen time. I like Giancarlo Esposito. I think he's a fantastic actor. He was great in Breaking Bad. I'll never forget the very first episode that he showed up. And I was watching Breaking Bad with my late mother-in-law, Jen's mom. And as soon as he showed up on screen as the manager of Los Polos Hermanos, the chicken restaurant, just seemed like an unassuming guy, but, distinctive looking. Giancarlo Esposito is a distinctive looking man. And I thought, oh, this is an interesting character, but Jen's mom knew more about the character than I did. So she's like, oh, it's him. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, he's important. So that kind of whetted my appetite to get more of Gus Fring from Los Polos Hermanos on the show. And he was great on Breaking Bad. He was one of many highlights on that show. Probably my favorite new actor that I discovered would have been Giancarlo Esposito on Breaking Bad for sure. Most shows out now were filmed before COVID. This is true, and a lot of it's just post-production effects and whatnot, which a lot of people in studios can do from home. Soaps are the exception. They're finding interesting ways to shoot with COVID restrictions. Interesting. I noticed Judge Judy is airing now with no audience. On Jeopardy, they have separated the contestants even further than they were before. Their stuff is continuing. Entertainment will continue. Trevor Noah is still shooting from home. I believe Samantha Bee is still shooting from her home. I think Stephen Colbert is still shooting from home. I don't mind that. I think it's kind of cool. I can get used to a lot of this. What a sheeple I am. I'm getting used to COVID. Oh my God, I'm such a sheep. Maybe I should have dressed as a sheep. Maybe this should be a white wig and I should be a sheep. Anyway, I figured tonight I will go to about 8:30 and then call it a night. It's not going to be a 2.5 hour show like it was yesterday. Been a very, very fun weekend for me. We did a great show last night, the Van Halen Deep Cuts. Really enjoyed doing that with Uncle Meat and Aaron and Kevin. And I've been listening to a lot of their deep cuts today, particularly off of Diver Down and Van Halen 2 and Women and Children First. Been very much enjoying some of those Van Halen deep cuts from our lists from last night. So if you missed last night's show, check that out. It's on my YouTube channel. It's on my website, MikeLadano.com. I heard a rumor that using mannequins to shoot the makeup scenes in soap operas. Interesting. Let's see, somebody just shot me on Facebook. Let's see who did that. Ooh, Frank Toms just sent me some cool pictures. That's cool, Frank Toms. You know what? I'm going to put this up on the screen. Give me a second here. I'm going to put this up on the screen. Frankie Toms looks really cool today. Here he is. Here's Frankie Toms in costume. Very cool. Thanks for sending that, Frankie. There we go. Okay. That is true, Lana. Bold and the Beautiful uses mannequins in love scenes. It's hilarious. You can tell? I'm curious if you can tell. That's funny. You know, I think you just do an entirely CG soap opera. The actors are wooden enough. Why not? Just mail it in. You know, just one guy in his own home filming against a blue screen going like, I love you. I love you. And then the woman on the other side, oh, I love you too. I'm filming on a blue screen. I'm filming on a blue screen and I love you so much. You could totally do a soap opera that way. Why not? Why not? Coffee is cold. I didn't finish the coffee. Do you guys want to see me unbox one of the figures? You know what? Let's unbox Count Dooku. Because I bought 2 Dookus, so I can open one. Let's unbox Count Dooku for Harrison Kopp. Trying to maintain the structural integrity of the box, which I keep. There's Dooku out of the package. Now you can see he comes with 2 separate lightsaber blades. You can make it look like his blade is swinging or just a standard static blade. It also has a cape, cloth cape. It's a little bit of tape, I believe, holding in that. Ah, there we go. 1 lightsaber. Dropped it. 1 swooshing lightsaber blade. And one excellent likeness, Sir Christopher Lee. Look at that. Look at that. It's a shame the camera isn't clear, but that is an excellent likeness of Sir Christopher Lee. The problem with a lot of these figures with the soft goods cloaks is that they tend to wrinkle up in the package, and it's hard to get them to look really good. But Count Dooku was certainly one of my favorite Sith Lords when the prequels were out. This lightsaber might be a little difficult for me to get into his hand on screen, but there's his lightsaber, his trademark curved lightsaber hilt. And if I just pop out the blade, then I can make it look like Dooku is swooshing his lightsaber. Wow, wow, wow. It's just difficult to fit it into his hands. His hands are really, really tight, and I'm not going to try that on camera. He does have a place on his belt to plug in his lightsaber hilt here. I am always appreciative of lightsaber storage on an action figure. Unfortunately, not every action figure has lightsaber storage, but Dooku does. That's a good-looking Dooku. It appears the cape is fastened directly to his chest with this chain. It won't move off his shoulders, which is fine. Looks great. He's going to look great when I get that lightsaber in his hand a bit later. But there is Dooku with lightsaber. Very cool. Very, very cool. Oh, shoot. Kevin had to split. Thank you. Talk to you later, Kevin. Dooku is my favorite Sith of all the movies, and don't tell me he didn't have enough screen time. No, he didn't have enough screen time for me, for my personal taste, though. I would have liked to have seen more Dooku in episode 3, but I understand why he had to die. Obviously, you can't have a new apprentice if the old one's still alive. I would have liked to have had more Dooku, though. Certainly, yes. I mean, and no, I don't have COVID. I do have allergies, though. Don't think there was enough Dooku, man. And even in episode 2, he was kept mysterious for most of the movie, and he was only seen, after the halfway point. And again, thanks. Robert Daniels hates unboxings. Yes, he does. Bye, Kevin. Robert Daniels did an unboxing on his Wednesday show, and it went so poorly. Getting that box open that it's his first and last ever unboxing. But I keep the packaging. I don't know why I keep the packaging. I mean, it's like, am I going to resell this figure? Am I going to bother? Even if I did resell it, am I going to bother putting the figure back with the box? They're going to get stored separately. I don't know. It's probably a waste of time for me to keep the packaging, but there you go. It may be difficult to secure your release. Yeah, so that's my feeling on Dooku there, buddy. What else did I buy that I can open? Well, I did buy two of these carbonized stormtroopers. I did buy 2 of those. It would be nice to see what this guy looks like on camera, wouldn't it? This guy, strangely enough, the last figure was sealed in 2 places on the top. I had to make 2 cuts. This figure only has 1 piece of tape, and it's a much wider piece of tape. So I have now unsealed my carbonized stormtrooper. You can see how shiny that package is. Trying not to crease it. And there's the carbonized stormtrooper. I understand that this is a new or new-ish stormtrooper mold compared to all the different iterations of the stormtrooper that they've released. I'll have to be the judge of that myself, compare them to some of my other figures. I always drop the guns. This stormtrooper comes with 2 guns. He comes with a blaster pistol, standard stormtrooper blaster pistol, and a blaster rifle that is often associated with snow troopers, at least in my mind anyway. And pulling the Stormtrooper gently out of the plastic. Yeah, there we go. There is the carbonized Storm. Look how cool that is. Yeah, the silver really pops. His head is really, there we go. The head moves. That is a nice figure. That is a nice figure. Silver pops. He has a holster in which you can store his blaster pistol. And I have found also that you can store the rifle in there too, if you feel like it. It doesn't look the greatest, but you can. If you're just looking for it to be out of the way while you have your Stormtrooper posed with a blaster pistol. Like so. And you can just have, you see, you don't even really see it. You don't even really notice it. There you go. Carbonized Imperial Stormtrooper. These are limited editions. And I think it looks fantastic. Really looks fantastic. There's so many different variations of Stormtroopers, though. You just see some of the funky Christmas ones that are coming out. I'm going to show you. There's a few different ones. Sorry, coming out for different retail outlets, and they are really funny looking. And I ordered one, but I'll show you some. We're going to share the screen here again. Well, anyway. There's one. There's one. Look at some of these Christmas Stormtroopers. Oh, there's the full set. There you go. So there's 5 altogether of these Christmas Stormtroopers, which I will not own, I'm afraid to say. Oh, well. Oh, well. It's really nice, though, how they even put these carbonized figures in different packaging. There's so many of these I mentioned earlier. There's a Boba Fett. My friend Jason has the carbonized Boba Fett. I have the Vader. There was a different carbonized Stormtrooper that was just more of a white, if I'm not mistaken. Carbonized Sith Trooper. I have a carbonized Sith Trooper, which is a shiny red. Yeah, they're putting out a lot of different limited editions, a lot of different repaints. Those Christmas ones are neat. And I am so far behind on my collecting because you just cannot find these figures here in Kitchener. You cannot find them, period. And now that we've had like 3 Walmarts burned down, that's 3 less places to look. Sucks to be a collector. Sucks to be a collector. I have to buy this stuff from the States. I have to get it imported. Well. What can you do? What can you do? Well, we're getting close to the end of the show here, so I just want to say thank you for showing up. I have been your host, Max the Axe. I'm kind of a big deal. And please, check out my music. Here's my very first album, Bodies of Water, from 1995. It's my greatest hits album. It's called $1 Trillion Threats. Check out Max the Axe on YouTube. Check him out on MikeLadano.com. Tons of Max the Axe music on MikeLadano.com. The popular album Status Electric, which everybody seems to love. And of course, the new Max the Axe Punk EP. So far untitled. And I'm going to play Oktoberfest Cheer for you one more time before we go. I understand that it couldn't be heard very well last time, so... Oh, crap. Messing with my setup here. Sorry about this. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Oktoberfest Cheer by Max the Axe. Hope you can hear it. Hair in my mouth! Hair in my mouth!
So raise up that beer. Roll out the barrel, joy in the fun. One thing's for sure. Sausage and sauerkraut, and to the band. Yeah! Cheers and shouts, with pepper and schnapps. Mother and jumps. In Knoxville City, Oktoberfest Cheer. October is here. So raise up that beer. October is here, October. So don't feel my beer, drinking and dancing is what we do here. October is here, roll out the barrel and join in the fun. Hey, Uncle Hans, get your nose, Oktoberfest Cheer. October is here, so raise up that beer. Don't crush my slopes, don't spill my